does not move forward because it wants to, but because the universe cannot move backward. Watch this. Now watch it again. You knew instantly that something was wrong. You did not need to be told. You did not need to think. The moment you saw the second shot, you knew it was running backwards. Why? The laws of physics, almost without exception, work the same forwards as they do backwards. There is nothing in Newton's equations, nothing in Einstein's, nothing in the equations that describe the inside of an atom that says time has to flow in one direction. And yet, every moment of your life, every memory you have ever had, every breath you will ever take moves in only one direction, forward, always forward. We do not have a word for it. We say time flows. We say time passes. We say time moves. But these are metaphors, borrowed from rivers, from breath, from feet. Time itself, whatever it is, does something stranger than any of these. It has a direction, and nobody knows why. In the language of physics, this is called the arrow of time. The phrase was coined in 1927 by an English astronomer named Arthur Eddington, the same man who 8 years earlier had photographed an eclipse and proven Einstein right. Eddington noticed something his contemporaries had not. The fundamental laws of physics did not distinguish between past and future. They were, in his word, time symmetric. And yet, the universe, the actual universe, the one we live in, clearly distinguishes them. The past is fixed. The future is open. The dead do not return. The shattered glass does not reassemble. Eddington gave this asymmetry a name. He called it the arrow of time. And then he asked a question that physics has been struggling with for nearly 100 years. If the laws of physics do not care about the direction of time, then where, exactly, does the direction come from? The answer, when physicists eventually offered one, was a single word. Imagine a room. In one corner of the room, there is a small bottle of perfume. The bottle is uncorked. What happens next is something you have known your entire life. The perfume spreads, slowly at first, then everywhere. Within minutes, you can smell it from across the room. And here is the question. Why does it spread? Why doesn't it stay where it was? The molecules themselves do not have a preference. They are not avoiding the bottle. They are not seeking the corners. Each individual molecule is moving randomly, bouncing, drifting, colliding. But there are vastly more ways for the molecules to be spread out across the room than there are for them to be huddled in a single corner. It is simply more likely. This is what entropy actually means. It is not disorder. It is the statistical truth that given enough time, things will arrange themselves in the most likely way they can. And the most likely way is, almost always, the most spread out. This insight came from a man named Ludwig Boltzmann, a physicist working in Vienna in the late 1800s. He was the first person to understand that entropy was not a mystical force. It was a counting problem. His equation, etched on his tombstone, is one of the most important in all of physics. It says, in essence, that the entropy of a system is proportional to the number of ways it can be arranged. The more ways, the higher the entropy, the fewer ways, the lower. And here is the link to time. If you film the perfume bottle uncorking, you can run the film forwards or backwards. Forwards, the perfume spreads. Backwards, the perfume gathers itself and crawls back into the bottle. You know which one is real. You know it instantly. Not because the laws of physics forbid the second one. They don't. It is, technically, possible for every perfume molecule, by sheer chance, to find its way back to where it started. It is just so improbable, so spectacularly unlikely, that it has never been observed in the history of the universe, and almost certainly never will be. This is the answer physics offered to Eddington's question. The arrow of time is not built into the equations. It is a statistical effect, emerging from the fact that disordered states are vastly more probable than ordered ones. Time moves forward, the answer goes, because the universe is moving from less probable arrangements to more probable ones. It is an elegant answer, a beautiful answer. It is also, unfortunately, not a complete one, because there is a question hidden inside Boltzmann's answer. A question so strange, so unsettling, that for nearly a century, most physicists preferred not to ask it. If the universe is moving from low entropy to high entropy, if it is moving from order to disorder, then the universe must have started in a state of extraordinarily low entropy, an impossibly ordered state, a state so unlikely that it should never have happened at all. And yet, somehow, it did. The Big Bang, the moment our universe began, 14 billion years ago, was not, as you might think, a moment of chaos. It was a moment of almost unimaginable order. The temperature variations across the entire observable universe, in its first instant, were less than 1 part in 100,000. The universe began impossibly smooth, impossibly ordered, and every story you have ever lived, every memory you have ever had, every breath you have ever taken, exists because of that order. If the universe had started in a high entropy state, already disordered, already chaotic, there would be no second law of thermodynamics, no arrow of time, no memory, no history, no you. Physicists call this the past hypothesis, the simple, terrifying assumption that the universe, for reasons we do not understand, began in a state of exquisite, improbable order. And here is the part that almost nobody wants to say out loud. Nobody knows why. There are theories. Some physicists invoke inflation, a period of exponential expansion in the universe's first fraction of a second. Some invoke the multiverse, the idea that low-entropy starting conditions are rare but inevitable across an infinite ensemble of universes. Some invoke a deeper, undiscovered law. None of these answers are accepted. None of them are proven. The question, the deepest question about why time moves forward, remains exactly where Eddington left it almost a century ago, open. There is one more thing to say. If entropy is what gives time its direction, if the universe moves forward because it is moving from order to disorder, then there is, somewhere in the deep future, a point at which the arrow of time will weaken, and then stop. It is called the heat death of the universe. The state in which entropy reaches its maximum, the state in which everything is evenly spread, every star burned out, every black hole evaporated, every particle drifting alone in a darkness so vast it cannot be measured. In that state, the arrow of time will not point. There will be no past, because there will be no record of it. There will be no future, because nothing will change. There will only be what is. And in the meantime, between the impossible order of the beginning and the empty silence of the end, there is a small, narrow, miraculous window. A window in which entropy is still increasing, in which the universe still has stars, in which time still flows. A window in which there is still something to watch. We live inside that window. Every moment of your life is a moment that the universe will not see again. And the reason, the deep, unsettling, beautiful reason, is that 14 billion years ago, for reasons that no one has yet been able to explain, the universe began in a state of extraordinary order. And ever since, the universe has been forgetting. The arrow of time is not, in the end, a law of physics.
It is the universe, doing what it has been doing since the moment it was born, coming undone.